This tutorial will guide you through the creation of a simple website and demonstrate Cipollini's functionality. Copy the tutorial file to your desktop, open it, and then Cipollini. Cipollini uses the idea of a job to organize work. Each job has multiple wireframe sets, each with a different identifying wireframe code. Using multiple codes, you can organize your site into multiple wireframe sets. Cipollini configures your Apache virtual hosts using the backend and server properties. Here we show the creation of a simple page. It is named B simple page as B is the page code. We start by dragging widgets from the Cipollini stencil to create the page. Using Cipollini, you have predefined text styles for consistency and a window to copy and paste lorem ipsum text from. Once the page is created, we create a side navigation. This involves several links going to all the pages we will create in this tutorial. To create a connection between pages, first add the link, and then set the destination with a go-to widget. Finally, we will use Cipollini to add the link to a form. We create the remaining links in the same way. We use the first page as an overview. The overview page is an easy way to represent the flow of the site. Cipollini automates much of this tedious process for you. Wireframes are an invaluable way to convey a design to a customer. Unfortunately, they are static. With Cipollini, these same wireframes can then be exported as navigable pages to demonstrate a design's flow. After design has been agreed to, you then begin the development process. Functionality on each page is implemented in small chunks, so functionality can be tested early and the design and backend can be implemented in parallel. Here we demonstrate how text widgets on a form can transmit data between pages. First, let's create a page where the data entry occurs. This requires a text entry and text area widget, also a button to press. Lastly, we name the text widgets and add them to the form. When designing an interface, we are always going to have alternate paths. Starring the name of a go-to widget displays it as an alternate path. We now create a results page that displays the outcome of the form page. On this page, we add a data widget, which we will populate with dynamic content. We also add two links, one to return to add more data and another to review all data. Lastly, we name the data widget Data Area 1. We will use this name to refer to this widget later on. To return to the previous page to add more data, set the link to return. Now, instead of navigation only, when we export our interactive pages, we can enter text into the forms. Cipollini encourages page reuse through the wizard pattern, so the link on page C needs to be set as a go sublink so C1 can return to it. A builder inserts PHP code into the server-side implementation of your pages. A builder itself is a PHP file that is included in the actual code that is executed. In this way, development is additive and functions fine without your interference. For instance, so far, the server has been using a builder file that you didn't even know existed. Multiple builder files can exist and be selected by you at runtime to test out new prototypes and switch between them for your needs. Let's create a builder that prints Hello World to the data widget on the C1 page. To do this, set the builder to low and open it. Cipollini generates example code for your builder, which we will modify. We create a bit of code to insert into the C1 page. This code sets the data widget, the one named Data Area 1, to Hello World. Now we look to see what we have done. After reloading the browser, we don't see anything yet. This is because we need to set the browser to use the load builder. Now we see Hello World. Cipollini handles passing data between pages. Here we show how the data from the form on page C is used on the page C1. The first thing is to add to the form the values of the text small and text large widgets, as if they were PHP variables. Then, page C1 has to accept these values. Here we accept them as P1 and P2. Because we are adding more functionality, we create a medium builder. In this builder, we use the page variables P1 and P2. Remember to select the medium builder. Now when we reload, we see our passed in values. If you want to ensure the form values are correct, you can add code to the forms builder. Just as we did before, create an entry in the builder and insert code. Here we look to see if they enter bad data and return if there is a problem. Now when we enter bad data, the form returns and gives an error. Otherwise, it continues on just as we would expect it to. Cipollini uses a model abstraction to manage data for the controller. This typically involves connecting to a database. For this tutorial simplicity, we avoid using a database as several PHP database tutorials can be found on the web. Let's create a page D to review all the data of our simple website. Let's add a data widget to display our model's content. Name it All Data. This tutorial uses a model named Example Model, which can be found in the model directory. We will use its method getAllData. It returns an array with Bob and Brad in it. To load data from a model, open the builder and add code for the D page. We have one line of code to load the model, one to call the model, and one to display the data on the page. When we export page D and load the page, we now see our model's data. While the model can provide data, we really want the return data to look good. One of the strengths of views using HTML and CSS is the ability to restyle data. The remaining steps explain how Cipollini's strengths in layout and design do not impede the ability to develop fully functioning websites look and feel, including HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and image assets. Look at the view directory. The tutorial has a view called Tutorial Table. Instead of directly printing data to the data widget, we pass the model's data to Tutorial Table to restyle it. And now we see our data restyled. We also can load a CSS file found in the CSS folder to get something more appropriate to displaying information on a website. When we reload, we see our newly styled page. jQuery is commonly used to add interactivity to websites. Cipollini does not impair its use, and here we show how the jQuery accordion widget can be incorporated on a page. For this step, we are using two view files. First, let's create a new builder and call it Hi. Next, switch the view to Tutorial jQuery to style the model's data differently. When we view the page, we now see the output is in jQuery's format for the accordion widget. For this example, we copied the accordion example code from the jQuery page, added it to the file tutorial jQuery code, and loaded this into the header. When we reload, we now have a functioning jQuery accordion on the page using the model's data. Just as you can have multiple builders representing the backend at different levels of fidelity, you can also have a different main view representing the website in different look and feels. The tutorial includes different views for two of the pages. Several good tools exist for creating website assets, and developers will each have their own favorite. Cipollini stays out of the way of these tools as much as possible. When you create a new main view, you only have to reuse the IDs of the forms and data widgets. By changing the views, we can imagine a page A as a medium fidelity mockup, looking something like this. In this way, color and basic layout can be presented to a client. The default view still exists, and when a view for a page does not exist, it reverts to the default wireframe look. As the customer and graphic artist finalize their design, a high-fidelity mockup can be created that looks something like this. As you can see, these pages are fully functional. This new main view in no way breaks the existing builder functionality. If we take a look at the page D, we can vary the fidelity of the view and the builder simultaneously, so the impact of the design changes are minimal. Thank you for following this tutorial.